Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show with your hosts, Rusty Buckets and Uncle Buck. Now, let's get to the show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to your Monday edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckets, coming to you with my guy, Drew Gann, a.k.a. Uncle Buck. You saw us on Saturday at Grind City Brewing, and now we're back here where we belong on the Two Buck Sports Show. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. It was a nice, busy, beautiful weathered weekend. We're going to get all into it in our best of beef. Excited to be here on this. It's now a traditional Sunday night Two Buck Sports Show Monday episode.
Well, Jared said, I don't know if you heard him, but at the show on Saturday, we were like, yeah, we got to talk about this on Monday's show. And he was like, don't you mean Sunday night?
See, so you know the real ones. You know the real ones. So
and Jared's the real one.
Jared's one of them.
The real one. He showed up on Saturday, hung out with us. Wayno was in the comments for a sport he doesn't even care about on Saturday. The real ones are always here. Jalen, Edward, Kendarius, the boys, always here. Appreciate y'all tuning in and listening. And if you are a fan of the show and you're a real one, you know what we start every single Monday with without fail, and it's everybody's favorite time waste.
That's right. Welcome to the Monday edition of the Two Buck Sports Show on Bluff City Media's YouTube page. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you're watching this on X or listening to it on the AM FM radio. Just come on over to YouTube, get in the search bar, type in Bluff City Media, click on the red ring around the icon. That's the live stream. Hit the thumbs up button. That helps us out more than you would imagine. And then hop in the comments. All the cool kids are going to be here if they're not in here already. And the most fun part of the Two Buck Sports Show, in my opinion, is the banter in the comment section. We'll pull it. If it's your first time commenting, we will make sure to put you up on the screen. This is a pre-recorded episode, so make sure you do it again tomorrow. And so we will be sure to feature you on the show. We'll talk about whatever it is if you're the first time commenter. But this is our Monday edition of the show. Me and Rusty are two best friends of over a decade. We did see each other on Saturday, but it's not typical that we see each other on the weekend. So we use this first segment to catch up. We boil it down to 2 points. The best thing that happened to us this weekend and our biggest beef of the weekend. Rusty, tell them about the ads and also give me your best of the weekend.
Yes, sir. This Best in Beef is brought to you every single week by Donna's Italian Beef at 509 Constitution Drive in Iuka, Mississippi. Open 7 to 3 Monday through Friday, 7 to 1 on Saturdays. Best spot on your way to Pickwick for a sack lunch. Tenderloin biscuit for breakfast, chocolate gravy and biscuit. If you know, you know. Tell Jim and the gang that we sent you, the Bucks sent you. They'll take really good care of you. And see if you can spot our picture in the restaurant. If you do, you post it online, tag us on the socials. I'll throw our socials up here real quick. You'll get a prize. I don't know what it is, a hearty handshake. We'll send you $5 to go to Donna's, whatever. We'll do it. Tag us in it at the number 2 Bucks _BCM, and we'll give you a prize if you take a picture of our picture at Donna's Italian Beef.
That's it.
Drew, it was a great weekend, man. I had my beef was kind of two, or my best was kind of two activities. The show was awesome as always, though the wind tried to blow us away. Then Saturday night, I had my 20-year high school reunion, so hung out there for about an hour and a half. Yes, I'm getting old. It's been 20 years. It was great seeing everybody. It was awesome, catching up with a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. And then there were storms coming through, so we had to leave a little early to make sure we got back to Memphis.
Since it is your 20-year reunion, you had to be in bed early. You're at that age now.
At that age now, brother, you've known me for a long time. I've always been at that age. It's only going to get worse with time. And then yesterday, as you're listening, Maggie and I did one of our favorite activities, man. We did an escape room and had an absolute blast. It was called the Lost Pyramid. It was in an old Egyptian pyramid with sarcophagus and all this kind of stuff. It was
spooky. In the Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah, it was. You had to get out of the Bass Pro Shop without spending $200. That was the premise of the escape room. But no, it was fun. It was really spooky. It was a lot of fun. It was a good time. Shout out, no free shout outs to Memphis escape rooms. They're a lot of fun. Yeah. Check them out. It was awesome.
I saw where you posted that on your story, the accomplishment picture, I escaped. And I noticed something on that picture. It says, time remaining 8.5 hours. I was like, all right, you got to be kidding me. Nobody's really taking that long.
It's 8 minutes, 50 something seconds, and then 50 whatever hundredths of a second. It wasn't 8 hours. It was 8 minutes.
Well, why did you do minutes, seconds, milliseconds?
Nobody doing things.
Okay. I'm not sorry, not you. But when you put the 3 columns, I'm like, oh my goodness, how long did they get?
Yeah, it says minutes, seconds, hundredths underneath it too. I know you know.
I can't zoom in on stories though.
Yeah,
so.
But we got out with 8 minutes. It's kind of around our average. We've gotten out a couple times closer with 15 minutes, so doing it in about 45 minutes because you have an hour. But around 9 minutes is kind of our average, and so felt good about it. It was good. It's good performance by Farm DPT, our little team.
Farm DPT, yeah, 8 minute average. That's pretty. It's up there.
I mean, some of y'all can't relate.
Yeah, definitely not with the 45, but it's Sunday night. This is liable to go be long today.
That's it. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. All right, my best of the weekend. So it was a good weekend. Just to recap it before my true best was today. But Friday night, I did a high school football game that was a win. Had a good time. Got to throw in a bunch of one-liners. Really let them loose. It was a lot of fun. Haley got to join me in the press box, and so we did like a little date night in the press box because the kids were gone. And then fun. Saturday I had the show, and my best is probably going to be Sunday. We just had like a family exploration day, I guess. Went to church this morning with my mom. And then afterwards, we went and got some food. And there's this nursery up in Selmer that we wanted to go check out because Haley wants like her mom's because it's fall time. So we got to decorate the front stoop and all that. And I'm a sucker for like flowers. Like it's one of my sticks. If you've been listening for a while, my green thumb is very much a flower bed instead of like a garden. It's not useful stuff that we can eat and live off of, but I do like our rose bushes and all. We've got a pretty banging flower bed. So I was all in to go check this out. And so we went there, and then we went to another place and ended up having like this huge a carnival kind of thing, like a redneck harvest carnival. We somehow backed ourselves and found that by accident, and so that ended up being an experience with the whole family. Before making it back and eating dinner tonight, just chilling. You know, family Sundays are supposed to be for family days, you know, and rest. And even though if rest isn't like a 3-hour nap, I'm feeling very charged up here at 8:30 because we've just had a good day. So that's my best of the weekend.
I can relate to that. Kind of same. We had the escape room today. We had the grocery store. I fired up the Blackstone and did those hot honey barbecue chicken quesadillas again. They were right on time once again. But Sunday is a good restful day, and I'm kind of like you. I'm feeling nice and recharged heading into Monday.
So, all right. Unfortunately, what goes up must come down, which leads us to our biggest beef of the weekend. Rusty, what's your biggest beef of the weekend?
I mean, honestly, like, life's really good right now. You know, I got my last ever paycheck for my previous employer this past week, so I guess that's kind of a beef. I'm currently I'm
pinching the seat a little.
That's it. We're everything's like, how much is that? Like that was 50 cents cheaper. Let's get that one. You know, it's changed a little bit, right? You know, I could go on and on about people cutting us off in traffic. Today I had a guy who was trying to light a cigarette he was in an old beat up truck, pulling an old beat up Vita Beetle, like little bug car on a trailer. And he kept like changing lanes for no reason and cut me off like a couple of times, only to find out he was trying to find his lighter, trying to light a cigarette as we finally got by him. But man, I mean, life is too good to be down to the dumps right now. New job's going too well. Like again, things are definitely on the up and up.
Well, my biggest beef is traffic related as well.
I knew what it's going to be.
Yeah. As I'm driving home after a nice show at Grind City Brewing Company, it was a great 10 out of 10 show. I'm going 65 and a 55 on 385. Is it 385, right?
Yeah.
In Memphis. Going with traffic, okay? And I get pulled over by a Memphis police officer. And this is the first time I've had plenty of tickets. I've earned lots of tickets. And this is the first time somebody's pulled me over, and he's like, you know why I pulled you over? And I looked at him dead in the face. I said, I have no idea, sir. I have no idea. He said, you were doing 65 and a 55. And I just said, buddy, I was just keeping up with traffic. I thought that's what we could do. It was 4 lanes here. I was going around somebody, you know, so I had to get into it a little bit before I could get back over. You know how traffic works, don't you, buddy? Yeah. He said, license. I was like, okay, whatever. All right, so I handed him my license. And this is what aggravated me. Is he brings me my license back, and he says, I did you a favor. I knocked it down to 60 and a 55 so that you could come to court and appeal it, and the judge will throw it out. It's kind of standard practice. 5 miles an hour. Just come up here on a weekday to Memphis and show up for court, and we'll drop it. And I looked at him, and I said, you just ran my license and looked at my license plate. I'm from 2 hours away from here. You know dang well I am not coming up here to court. That's why you did this. This is why you're kind of giving me this favor here.
Yeah.
It's because you know dang well I'm not coming up here on a Tuesday to Memphis, Tennessee to appeal a ticket in which you just told me is $40.
Because you're going to spend more than that in gas.
Yeah, he said, well, I guess that's just your prerogative, I guess. I said, how about this? If you're just telling me that all I got to do is come up here and drop it to get it dropped, why don't you just rip it up? And we'll save me and you an appearance at court. And he said, no, I can't do that. I was like, how about you just take $40 and then we'll call it square? And that's when I was really pushing my luck, I guess, because I guess I could have been wearing silver bracelets if he was in a bad mood.
Yeah.
But I tried it. But I walked home with a ticket that's about $40, and it just made me aggravated because I was like, you do not issue that ticket to somebody from Shelby County and tell them all you've got to do is go to court and we'll drop it. Because guess what? They'll go to court. You only do that to people that's out of state. Yeah. And it just rubbed me the wrong way, man.
100%. The only reason you got that ticket is because you have Tippah County plates and they don't say Shelby on them. That's 100. That's right. The only reason. Only reason.
Well, and you know what? If it was a Shelby County, what he would have done if he wanted to give a ticket, he just wouldn't knock it down. He would make it punitive. But the fact that he marked it down was almost just like a slap in the face to me. He was like, "Oh,
I know you're not going to come, buddy.
I know you're not going to come up here. So take this ticket." Just made me angry.
That's it. But that's our best in beef for the week. Brought to you by Donna's Italian Beef. Every single Monday we dive into it. So y'all check out. We've got buffoonery before every show, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central on Bluff City Media's YouTube channel. Check them out each and every day for something a little bit different. But Drew, we had quite the chaotic day in college football over the weekend on Saturday, only for Sunday to come around, and it'd be Black Sunday again for several coaches. And we're going to get into all of that right after this commercial break. It's going to be a football-heavy episode, but it's worth it because we got plenty to talk about.
You can take two stances, but you have to take one. You can say preseason doesn't matter. Okay, sleep well at night knowing that, convincing yourself of that if that's your belief. If preseason matters even a little bit, then there is something that we've gotten blown out 4 times. I don't know how you can just sit back and just be like, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters a ton. But there's people over here being like, just calm down, we're fine, and they may be right. But all we have to look at is the 4 games of the new coach this season and the new roster. And buddy, Charlotte dropped 150 on us. You do look at this and draw things from it about how you're going to play in the regular season.
Yeah,
these guys are our team. This is the guys that we work with. Front court depth is a problem.
Tune in to The Daily Grind with your host, Lute Hatmaker, every Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. live on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. In the heart of the Highland Strip for 27 years, Trilogy Tattoo has helped tell stories for Memphians for generations. Located at 530 South Highland, Richie and his team are waiting to help you tell yours.
From tattoos to piercings, your body art should be as unique as you are. Voted a Memphis Flyer top 3 tattoo shop in the city of Memphis since day one. Your story will be safe here at Trilogy Tattoo.
Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 11, and 3 to 11 on Sundays. They have convenient times waiting on you. Let Trilogy Tattoo help you tell your story.
Welcome back to the $2 Sports Show Monday edition of the show. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on your Monday lunch break. We just went through our best of beef. We told everybody the best thing that happened to us this week, as well as the worst thing that happened to us this week. A segment that was brought to you by Donna's Italian Beef. You saw some commercials, and now we're going to talk about college football in a weekend that I have dubbed Carnage Saturday, where the number 5 team, Ole Miss Rebels, went to Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia, got beat, and it is not even in the top 10 of unpredictable outcomes for the week.
Brother, it's not. We picked against the FanDuel spread on Friday, like we do every single Friday in our FanDuel Football Friday segment. And I went 3-3 this week. Drew, unfortunately, went 2-4 this week. I got Vanderbilt, Notre Dame, and Mississippi State all covering. Notre Dame and Vandy both won. And then you had Bama and BYU, and that was it.
Yeah, that was it. And I don't really feel that bad about it. I was kind of swinging for the fences anyways. I took underdogs in LSU
to make up some ground. Yeah,
and tried to make up some ground. Listen, I should get points for Mississippi State because they did cover, but they lost in the most embarrassing fashion ever.
We'll get to all of that here in a minute. Yeah. I guess we should start. Let's start with Friday night because the ACC landscape gets a bit more muddy. Louisville, big game Braun, upset Miami on the road in Coral Gables, 24-21. Carson Beck had a DJ Lagway-esque night with 4 interceptions, and Louisville gets the big win. The ACC feels a bit more wide open. I'm not out on Miami by any means. I think Miami's still one of, if not the still most athletic, one of the best teams in the country. But they are now sitting tied with, they are tied with Louisville, Duke, Pittsburgh, Cal, all with 1 loss in the conference. It got a bit muddier. And at the top, 3-0 in the conference at the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who got a big win over Duke on Saturday. What was a close game. Yeah. And the Ramblin' Wreck pulled away late. Virginia, I think we all saw that one coming. It's sitting at 3-0, 5-0 on the year.
They almost got beat by Washington State. Yeah.
So, sorry, they're 6-1, 3-0 in conference. And SMU, who beat Clemson this weekend, is 3-0 in conference play, Drew. The ACC is a bit muddy after Miami getting beat Friday night.
I tell you what, the ACC and the SEC can look at each other and be like, every conference. This is what I'm
Spider-Man meme. It's the Spider-Man meme where everybody's like,
this proves the point that I've been preaching this whole time, and I've said it in relation to the SEC, but if it's true in the SEC, it's true everywhere. There are holes on every single team. The transfer portal has allowed for teams to lose every single bit of their depth, and at any time, in any situation, you can get beat. This is not gone are the teams of old, the Clemson, the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Ohio States, in which you show up with 10 times the talent of the team behind you. You can play your C game and win by 2 scores. That's just not the case anymore. This is so much like the NFL, in which one week you can be absolute world beaters and the next week you can get beat. Look at what happened to Kansas City this year. The last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, they go on the road on Monday Night Football and lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Since then, they have boat raced every single team that they've played, and it's not been a bunch of schmucks that they've played since then. And so it is all matchup oriented. That's the reason why I felt good about the Ole Miss matchup with Georgia. Guess what?
Yeah.
I think the Ole Miss matchup next week with Oklahoma is far worse, just because you cannot the teams stack up unevenly everywhere. There's just not the team that is head and shoulders above anybody, and anybody can be got.
Yeah, that's it. And speaking of getting got, LSU got by the Vanderbilt Commodores, baby. What a freaking win.
Top 10,
for Clark
baby.
Lee, for the first time since the year of our Lord, 1950. 50. Vanderbilt is in the top 10. 50 for the city. Vanderbilt's in the top 10 after a 31-24 convincing win over LSU. Yeah. I mean, it was a great matchup with a blue blood in the conference, a team that is perennially at the top of the SEC against a doormat. Again, for the first time since 1950, I want to drive that home there in the top 10. Diego Pavia had himself a game, especially on the ground, with 2 rushing touchdowns. Nuss is still not healthy, but like I don't want to take any credit away from Vanderbilt, who just continues to snatch chains week in and week out.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Ole Miss, the LSU win just continues to look worse and worse. Again, and that's not taking anything away from Vanderbilt, because what I saw on that field was a Vanderbilt team that was ranked, what were they, top 15, 13,
17,
14,
15,
17.
I think somewhere around there, yeah.
Inexplicably ranked lower than LSU. Ranked lower than LSU. And they just squared up man on man and beat them. It was something that I said after the Vanderbilt-Bama game, where I thought that the talent disparity or the scheme, the execution, they were on par with each other. Two turnovers inside the red zone for Vanderbilt, and Alabama wins by 14. Like that is comparable. You can set marks with those teams, comparisons. And then they just went, and LSU at home as a 2.5-point favorite to win that game by 7. It looked good. Because there's college football games that teams that win and they don't look good.
They don't deserve it.
Last week, Vanderbilt just outplayed LSU, and it worked.
And it worked, and because of that, and the fact that Memphis had an absolute boo-boo the bed moment, shout out to Tigers. We'll get to them immediately after this, but because of that, they're being rewarded for the first time ever in hosting College Game Day as it goes to Nashville for a top 15 matchup as the 10th-ranked Commodores host the 15th-ranked Missouri Tigers, and what's going to be an amazing football game. 2:30 kick, like just wild that we're talking about Vanderbilt like this, and it's fun. Like yes, they're in the SEC, but this is one SEC team that I don't mind seeing win and be good.
No, it's still
they
fun.
Don't play Mississippi State, especially because they don't play Mississippi State this year. It's so much fun. I'm having the time of my life rooting for Diego Pavia and Clark Lee.
I mostly tongue in cheek, but a little realistically, as Rusty takes a sip of his Kool-Aid, grieved the loss.
It's watered down a little gin.
Grieved the loss of the Ole Miss Vanderbilt rivalry, and now I'm like, probably would have rather played LSU. Probably would have rather played South Carolina or Kentucky here.
We pick up Vandy.
Yeah, they're your permanent. They're your permanent matchup.
That's it. Diego Pavia walks through that door next year, but yeah,
he might.
Real quick,
I think they're going to get ready to sue again for another year because he played.
Maybe he said
2
on
years
X
in
that
junior
he
college.
wasn't. He said on X that he wasn't, but we'll see after the run that he's having.
We'll see what the NFL scouts say about him, and he'll be back.
But yeah, real quick on Memphis, you're a 21.5-point favorite over a school that fired Trent Dilfer, their head coach. Chris Mortensen, the ESPN legend's son, is taking over as the interim head coach. Memphis had everything in front of them, but Memphis does this every single year. They have like the world in front of them. All they got to do is run through their conference, the American Conference, not even like the SEC or anything like that. And they usually lose to food, right? They'll lose to rice or whatever. This year it was UAB in an ugly loss to a UAB team they had absolutely no business losing 31-24 to a bad UAB team. And because of that, they're not going to host game day next week. And it was yours. It was coming to Memphis 100%. It was going to be on Tiger Lane. Now it's going to Nashville, which is a real kick in the nuts that it's going down the road to Nashville instead of being here in Memphis. And you again, now you're battling uphill. You got to beat South Florida this weekend. You got to get some help with North Texas, like some other schools. Like that's rough. That Memphis absolutely boo-booed in their bed this weekend.
Yeah, everything was in front of them. I mean, you needed North Texas to get beat by USF. That happened. You needed this and that to happen. You would have loved to see Missouri get beat in that overtime game against Auburn, and that didn't happen. But it didn't matter because at that point, Memphis had already lost. And what will be the haunting reminder of this, because it could be forgotten about every once in a while, by people outside of Memphis. But the fact that it was Chris Mortensen's son as an interim coach in his first game as the interim coach / head coach, that will be remembered in UAB lore forever. And take it from somebody who lost a NCAA tournament game to Valparaiso and Bryce Drew. Any time that UAB plays Memphis, this game will be re-aired. I still see Billy Cannon from 1969 returning a punt back on Halloween night for LSU against Ole Miss, a game that I was not alive for, but have still get chills for some reason or another because it's played nonstop. You are on the wrong end of the greatest day in recent UAB history, and you will be reminded for it for a long time.
A long time. But Memphis absolutely crapped in their bed. But a team who didn't, Alabama had every shot to lose that game Saturday night and just bowed up and went and won a freaking football game. Just dominance. 37-20 was the final. You win by 17. Joey Aguilar had a decent game through the air, outpassing Ty Simpson, but it didn't matter. Alabama's defense did play well. Alabama didn't run the ball exceptionally well, but they stuffed Tennessee in a locker and won that game fairly convincingly.
Yeah, that game was not ever close, and it felt like the real nail in the coffin was the only thing you can't do with 2 seconds to go in the half inside the 5-yard line is throw a 99-yard pick six, and that's what they did. And that I think that took it like 27-13 or something.
That made it
at the half.
23-7. That made it 23-7 and a half. And
it's just an inexplicable error. Yeah. And, I felt really confident about Alabama in this game. I took them plus 8.5 against Tennessee, who was a top 10, 11, 12 team in the country. Felt really confident about this, and they beat them worse than I thought they would do. Alabama, in a league that there's going to be filled with so much parity, everybody's going to beat everybody. I think it's safe to say that Alabama is the class of the SEC.
They're pulling away. They're pulling away. Stop me if you've heard this before, but Alabama's figuring it out as the season goes on, and they're pulling away from the rest of the
DeBoer is going to go from getting fired to getting a massive raise.
We're going to be talking about coaching carousel center here in a minute. That's a name we're not going to be talking about.
No, because Kalen DeBoer, nobody's going to ever leave Alabama.
No. Buddy, I got news for you. If you think that was the worst interception of the day, Saturday, a 99-yard pick six right before the half, stay tuned. We got one coming. It's going to be a little better than that. But the Holy War game that we all watched, I know, BYU gets a surprising victory over Utah. They were stuffing them in a locker. It was 10-7 at halftime, but just like dominated Utah and then pulled away only for Utah to come back late. BYU gets a big win at home. That one also hurts Memphis because they are going to be one of the at-large teams if they continue to win.
Yeah, they're kind of the weird Notre Dame non-conference affiliated.
Right.
Do they play a Big 12 schedule?
They play a Big 12 schedule, but they don't play. They play Texas Tech in 2 weeks, who lost this weekend. Massive loss there for the Red Raiders. They play Texas Tech.
Big win for Arizona State.
Massive. That Mississippi State win looks even better now. The Kenny Dillingham, and I love.
It's not that it's going to matter.
No, he was mid interview and just walks off to go celebrate with the people, and I freaking loved that. It was awesome.
Circle his name when we get back to, because he's going to be a name that's forgotten about because everybody wants to talk about Lane Kiffin. Kenny Dillingham is an incredible football coach.
Absolutely. And should be in the conversation for every major job. But your Rebels did go to Georgia, go toe-to-toe. What a great game that was, man. I got to watch a lot of that and was listening and watching, heading to my reunion, then at my reunion. Just what a great game. And I know I'm not rubbing it in your face. I'm truly not.
No.
Y'all lost in what was an epic, just back and forth, tough on tough, dude on dude, grown man tackle football game.
Well,
and Georgia just outlasted a little bit.
I'm gonna stop shy of calling it a grown man football game. When you do not force a team to punt for the entire game, there's not a lot of grown men on one side of the ball.
Every single possession that Georgia had, they put points on the board.
And you know what's crazy? Is going into so Ole Miss possessed the ball 7 times in that game. They scored a touchdown in their first 5. 35 points. That's how many points Ole Miss ended with. 35 points. They scored a touchdown on every single possession for their first 5 drives of the game. And the reason why you had a lead is because on 2 occasions, Georgia had to kick field goals instead of score touchdowns, and they went for it on 2 and missed it one time. That's how you ended up with a 9-point lead.
So real quick, the drive chart for the first half, Georgia got the ball first. So these are alternate drives.
Yeah,
Field
touchdown.
goal, touchdown, 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 touchdown. End of half. That was the only time Georgia didn't score, was going into the half. They were down 21-20 at halftime, only for the third quarter to be touchdown Ole Miss, touchdown Georgia, touchdown Ole Miss. Our first punt came in the fourth quarter when Ole Miss went 3 and out and punted the ball early in the fourth quarter. First punt of the game, surrounded by Georgia touchdowns.
So, two things here. Yes, it's fun to watch Ole Miss play offensive football. That side of the ball was good. However, there was a sense of dread for that whole game for me, because if you were an Ole Miss fan or a Georgia fan, or you were really locked into this game, what you saw was that both teams scored at will, but it was way harder for Ole Miss to do it than it was Georgia. Especially in that second half, you're talking about grown man football. They were getting 5 yards a carry, every single carry. Here's a stat for you. Georgia ran 80 offensive plays. They had 32 first downs. They only went on 80 plays. They only attempted 11 third downs on the game. It was just line it up and throw it, and they ran so hard. Man, I've got so much respect for those Georgia running backs, because Ole Miss did a fine job of meeting them at the line of scrimmage, but it didn't matter. And so you knew, based on how Georgia was moving the ball against Ole Miss in the second half, and how Ole Miss was moving the ball against Georgia in the second half, that Ole Miss was going to be the one to blink. And when they blinked, I had no hope of them doing it. And unfortunately, what it left me with was further solidifying my point of view on the quarterback situation. Because you blinked on the first drive in which you punted, Daquan Wright, who is one of the best tight ends in football, the Athletic had him as second-team All-American in their midseason poll, was wide open on a crossing route on the far hash. It was a rather easy throw for a D1 SEC quarterback, and he threw it at his feet. He would have probably still been running, and then you take that lead from 2 back to 9, and instead you threw it at his feet. And then he threw 2 more balls at the feet of receivers. We go 3 and out. The next time you get the ball batted because he's an undersized quarterback, and then he throws the ball at the feet of another guy. He cannot stretch the field, and I know there's a trade-off, and the hardest part about having to pick between Trinidad Chambliss and Austin Simmons is that they could not be more dissimilar. Like, they are polar opposite styles of quarterback. Austin Simmons can throw the ball downfield. The con is Austin Simmons probably takes 3 or 4 sacks yesterday that Trinidad Chambliss doesn't. But you've got to be able to make throws in this league. Oklahoma's got a better defense than Georgia does. Oklahoma's probably going to put 7 to 8 in the box at all time and force him to throw deep. Because if you force him to throw deep, buddy, it's ugly. It's real ugly, and it's not a good matchup. And so I don't know how you do it. It takes some stones that probably only Lane Kiffin has the Lane Kiffin's the only coach in college football that probably can make that call right now, 7 games into the season, to turn away from Trinidad Chambliss. But I think you've got to at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. You got to go back to Austin Simmons, get something under center that you can count on, that's been there a little bit more. I mean, I agree. You said it best.
You know, the old adage I've always believed in: if you've got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one.
Right.
I think this is an exception. I think you can play both of them. Yeah. They in some goal-to-go situations, they ran both of them out of in the same formation. They put Austin Simmons in motion a couple of times, and then they put Austin Simmons at the slot, and then put Trinidad Chambliss at running back, direct snapped it to the running back, handed it off to Chambliss for him to throw the ball. Like, just weird stuff. Yeah. But I just think that if you get into a situation in which you've got to throw the ball, you want Austin Simmons, but you can't just put him in situations where he's got to throw the ball, because then you're too predictable.
Yep. Mississippi State lost 23-21 in the swamp. Couple things. All right, so
let me for a second just set it up. So, I mean, it's known for everybody that Billy Napier's going to lose his job, win, lose, or draw, or whatever. And then Mississippi State plays a really good game. That game is a war in the swamp. Really good Ole Miss teams have gone and lost in the swamp regularly, like last year. It's a hard place to go play.
And we went toe-to-toe with them the entire afternoon.
I was at a cookout at Cousin Kirk's house. They're all watching it, and I'm watching it with them. And we all just kind of be like, this is the way that this story is supposed to go. For all parties involved. You don't think that Scott Strickland, the athletic director at Florida, is not wishing that Mississippi State runs the ball up the middle 3 times and kicks a game-winning field goal and he gets to fire Millie Napier after a loss? Yeah. That's not what happened, though.
No, it's not. And the third coach in recent memory is fired after beating Mississippi State. That's a hell of a stat, man. Gus Malzahn.
That is so depressing.
Jimbo Fisher and Billy Napier couldn't even save their job by beating a Mississippi State team.
Jimbo Fisher beat Mississippi State 50-7 and got fired.
He got fired. It was literally 48-10. They got fired the next day. Couple things. Kyle Fieri hits a 40. I got it pulled up right here. He hits a 40-something yard field goal right at the end of a 41-yard field goal going into the half, but they call it no good. The upright is here. It goes over the upright on the inner edge over the upright, and they called it no good. That would have made it 13-10 going into halftime. It's subjective.
Did we ever?
Whatever,
did we ever see an up view on that up the goalpost?
So they don't have
they've such
got
a hard call to make.
It is, but like from the back view, it clearly goes over the post and then in, and it actually finishes between the goalposts. Like it should have been called good. It doesn't matter. So that happens.
Why in the world did they not just make the goalpost 100-foot high?
I mean, that's it. Like, or like have something. You've got like lasers and all this kind of stuff. Run one that shoots up into the
Where's AI
hits a
for
laser.
This?
That's it. Like it should have been. It should have been a good field goal, which made all the difference in the world. Also, in the first half, Brennan Thompson runs an amazing post route and leaves the corner and the safety in the dust, only for Blake Chafin to overthrow him by maybe 1.5 yards. Like it'd have been a 50-yard touchdown pass, and that would have sealed the game.
Yeah.
Then we get the ball, we score, we make it 23-21 late in the game, force Florida to a 3-and-out, only shooting up 22 seconds of game clock, and you feel like, all right, this is it. We're getting the ball back. We get the ball back. 2 minutes to go in the game. This is what you dream of. Every little kid's dream. And then we're marching, moving down the field. Blake Chafin blessed the 18-yard run, hits a nice little out route, whatever. We're moving down the field. And this is the thing, like, people on X are calling for Jeff Lebby's job. He's not the guy, blah, blah, blah. I'm not there. But he inexplicably calls a timeout with 30 seconds to go. Our last timeout burns that. Yeah. We come out of a timeout, run a pass play, which I don't hate the play call. I hate the execution. Blake Chapin is throwing it to nobody in general. Like it's either going to be picked off by this 300-pound nose tackle who drops into coverage, or the safety was going to be the next closest one because he's throwing it 6 yards behind the closest slant. I don't really know who he was throwing to. And as you've all seen, the game-sealing interception. And Jeff Lebby said, I love the call. I didn't like the execution. And I agree. I don't hate the call being aggressive. Could we have ran the ball up the middle? Probably. We had some success doing that. But you had burned your timeout. So you had one running play, and then you're going to have to do a Chinese fire drill, running people on and off the field to try and get a field goal off.
That was second down, though. You could have spiked the ball.
You could have spiked the ball. Yeah. We could have got up there and spiked the ball for sure. But I don't hate him being aggressive there. I just hate whatever Blake Chapin saw.
What yard
I'm not
line?
ready to fight. I'm not ready. It was going to be. It was at the 41, so it was going to be a hefty kick.
Yeah.
And Kyle Fieri is a good college kicker. He makes long 40-yard field goals fairly consistently.
58's a lot.
Yeah, but that's a lot. And so I understand trying to get it a bit closer. But I'm not ready to fire Jeff Lebby. But at this point in the season, you're 4-3, you're 0-3 in conference play. I feel a little better about maybe beating Texas, who had to go to overtime to beat Kentucky inexplicably. But I'm out on Blake Chapin. It's Kamario Taylor time. It's time. Yeah. You're 4-3, 0-3 in conference play. What is Blake Chapin going to show you heading into Texas that tells you he's going to change? Because Blake Chapin is who he is. He's a 5'0" quarterback who's not the guy that's going to lead this team to the promised land. He's a fifth-year senior. He's done at the end of this year. Why not have one of the top quarterbacks in the state of Mississippi last year come in, be the guy as a freshman, get his bumps? Because in this day and age of NIL and transfers, the last thing I want is Kamario Taylor to transfer when he is the future of this team. It is KT time in Starkville.
All right, so a lot of that stuff there that I just want to comment on. I felt like that yard line was. I thought they were much deeper. And I believe you, but they were on the 29-yard line.
29. Oh yeah, you're right. It was
29.
going to be a 41.
So,
it was going to be a 41-yard kick. That's what it was. Not at the 41. It's going to be a 41-yard kick.
Because I had a take, and I was like, you were about to talk me out of it, but I was like, I thought that was closer. I hated the play call. Because I thought it was inexcusable. Because what it was is this was an RPO. Okay? You are reading a defense. You are saying before the snap, most likely, you're counting the guys in the box. If there's, say, 7 people in the box, we're throwing. If there's 6 people in the box, we're handing off. That's kind of how these things work. Sure, alignment matters, all kinds of stuff like that. Situation matters. And you also have the technology in a quarterback's helmet to talk to them directly before there's 15 seconds to go or less in the play clock. Sure. There is in no situation that Jeff Lebby or whoever's calling the plays should not tell Blake Shapen, hey, buddy, I know this is an RPO. Don't you dare throw this football. Like, this, I don't get it. At 20 on the 29-yard line, you're running the ball pretty good. Even if it's a no-gain situation, you have to spike it and run the field goal guy out there. You're looking at a 46-yard field goal at 29 on the 29-yard line.
It's long,
rule
but
of thumb
makeable
is typically adds.
Kyle Fieri.
It's better than a pick, and I don't like it because there's exposure there. There is nothing that can happen outside of a running back fumbling, but at that point, a running back fumbling is less likely than throwing a pick, and that's the only thing you can't do.
I don't hate being aggressive in that situation. I don't mind it either. I just don't trust Blake Shapen at this point. Like like Jeff Lebby is a young coach. He's still figuring it out how to be a head coach. I'm willing to be patient. You know, Kirk Cignetti is shortening that runway for what he's doing in Indiana with how good he's got those teams so quickly. But I'm willing to be patient with a new head coach who I think can lead this team.
Yeah, and I don't think you should fire Jeff Lebby either. But I don't think he gets a pass because it's his second season as a head coach. Because he's been calling plays for 5 to 7 years now. Like he knows the situation. Like that was unexcusable to me. Like I said, I root for a team who has a coach that loves to go for it, and I support it 9 times out of 10. I just thought in this situation on the road, man, just put it in the belly of your running back on up the middle. Hopefully you get. Best case scenario, you get 10. Worst case scenario, you get nothing. You've got a mid 40-yard field goal there, and you're not risking interception.
You take your chance with Kyle Fieri for sure. But I'll be there in Starkville on Saturday for the Texas game, so we'll revisit this as we get closer to the end of the week. Yeah,
real quick, Texas. God love you. I talk about being to go for it. And being ballsy. Mark Stoops laid his testicles on the table, and they got chopped off in overtime at home. Yep. But I love going for it on 4th down in overtime when even though you possess the ball first. I didn't love running it up the middle 3 times in a row. I thought for sure on that 4th down you're going to have some play action that tied in a bootleg or something, but instead just tried to run it up the middle again. And what's his name? Is it B.J. Hill or Anthony Hill? What I don't remember his name.
I think it's Anthony. Anthony Hill. Yeah,
stuffed him. I think every time at the goal line, and Texas escapes, and
barely.
I guess when we can, I guess we can transition to coaching seat now because there's been a firing today, but that Missouri-Auburn game I thought was going to signal another one. Hugh Freeze is still the coach of Auburn for right now, but I do think it is just a matter of time.
I think it's a matter of time for him. I don't know how much time Shane Beamer has left. Mark Stoops could be on his way out, but Billy Napier did get fired. Coach Norvell got fired as well. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah. Colorado State Coach Norvell.
Jay Norvell.
Jay Norvell in his 4th season as the head man for the Rams. He did get fired. But
it's another big job opening up. I wonder if you'll see any Lane Kiffin on the Colorado State message boards.
And that's kind of where we need to get to, right? Because we know who's been fired and we know what's going to happen. You talked about Kenny Dillingham. Like, there's a lot of names that are going to come up. I think John Sumrall, Rhett Lashie. Lane Kiffin. Like, there's going to be a lot of names that are going to be circulating.
Elijah
Drinkwitz has been
Yeah.
heavily linked to Penn State. There's just a lot of big-time jobs coming open, and I don't think we're done. I think there's a world, Drew, where Florida State is open at the end of the year. I think there's a world where LSU could be open at the end of the year, not because they fired Brian Kelly, but because he takes one of these jobs.
I don't know.
Open.
You just lost to Vanderbilt. You could fire Brian Kelly.
That's also fair.
Yeah.
I think South Carolina is going to be open, and that's a job that's kind of slept on because there's deep pockets in South Carolina. I think there's a lot of NIL money with the right person to go there, but again, that's still a big.
I mean, they kept Stewart there, which was impressive that you were able to keep a true freshman All-American defensive end.
And Drew, we're like, if Sark loses that game to Kentucky, Texas could be a job that came open, and it still might. If they come to Starkville next weekend, and Joey, I'm going with my buddy with Joey, we're going to be sitting 6 rows up from the field, just in case, But if they go to Starkville, they get beat next weekend, like there's a world where Texas could be open. And so
the biggest slap in the face and the biggest disappointment would be to Texas is if Mississippi State beats them, you have no business rushing the field.
Rushing the field at all. None whatsoever. So this was going to be a field rushing situation about 6 weeks ago, but it's not now. But what is your take? Like, I know we've talked about it in some group chats. How are you feeling as the Ole Miss fan, knowing that Lane is not going to kill any of those rumors, even if it's just to get a payday?
No.
How do you feel? How are you feeling?
Listen, my bull market last week was Jimmy Sexton, and this is Jimmy Sexton season. If you don't know who Jimmy Sexton is, he is college football.
Hey,
czar.
Like Kirk Signetti said, Google me, I win. Google Sexton, he gets paid.
His phone is blowing up right now. All right, start from the top. I believe that there is no coach in college football, and this is not even crazy to say, that is as heavily trafficked on social media and on just sports shows than Lane Kiffin. He turns heads. It's one of the things that I love about him the most. He gets eyeballs on Ole Miss, him as the personality. And because you are dealing with clickbait websites, you're dealing with everybody, moderators on message boards trying to drive subscription
faceless
numbers.
Twitter accounts that are just trying to get engagements.
But you got guys like Brett McMurphy, who is no longer working at Sports Illustrated. He's working for On3, getting paid by the click. He likes to whisper and put out coy little statements. Lane Kiffin will drive up so many subscription numbers for any site whose head football coach job is vacant. If you put Lane Kiffin's picture out there, you're going to get subs out the roof. And that's not coming as a biased Ole Miss fan. That's just a fact. Okay? That's true. Yep. Second thing is true. He's a really good football coach and deserves to be linked to every single job out there. He should be at the top or near the top of every single college football search for every single school. It doesn't matter the level of school. You should make Lane Kiffin tell you no. The third thing that's also true, he's a Jimmy Sexton guy. He likes being in the media. He will not shoot down any rumor because the worst thing that he could do is say, forget you, I love it here. I'm not going. Take me off your board and take away his own leverage for his next contract. He will get a raise and an extension like he's gotten every single year.
I did that with my client last week. We were in a space that we were looking at, and she was like, I just don't know that I like this space. And what I said, what I heard you say was that this is space is going to make your final list and one that you would heavily consider with the right terms. It's called creating posture and leverage is exactly what he's doing.
And so if we talk about the nuts and bolts of it, I'm going to talk about this from two different sides. One, if you take Lane at his word, he likes to stir the pot, whatever. He typically tells the truth when he talks. When he gives an answer, he doesn't boldface lie a lot. He skirts around. He refuses to answer. But if he gives you an answer, he's typically pretty genuine about it. And I believe everything he said about what Ole Miss has given him and the fact that his family is there. Knox Kiffin took over the starting quarterback job at Oxford High School on Friday night and led them to a massive overtime win.
Massive win.
And
where he threw the game-tying and game-winning scores.
Yeah. Come in at halftime as a sophomore, I think. They led the Chargers of Oxford to a massive win in 7A football. And then his daughter Landry is at Ole Miss. You know the story there. Like, if you buy what he's saying, I do believe it's hard. He is a career-oriented guy. I do think that there's probably jobs out there that will pique his interest. But if you believe what he says, then, I'm at the point now, I'm not giving anything, I'm not sweating anything at this point. Like, anything can happen. I've been through this for 5 seasons now. It's not worth if it happens, it happens.
Yeah. That's kind of where you have to get to.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be real quick. You have to get to that point because like you said, he loves the attention. Jimmy Sexton loves the attention because it creates posture and leverage. And you just have to, it's what you get with Lane Kiffin as your coach is he's going to stir the pot.
And this is what I have been hammering on about Kirk Cignetti and about Missouri and about Ole Miss. And you compare that to Texas, to Alabama's recent faltering, going 9-3 last year. Nobody's as good as they once were. You even on one of your beefs of the week or your bull market of the week was like logos and history doesn't matter anymore. Indiana is the number 2 ranked team in the country. You do
there's
not
a case they could be number 1.
Yeah. You do not, in my opinion, you do not leave a school, take the helmet off of it, in which you are having success because it is not proven anywhere. You have to have top end from donors, GMs, athletic directors, fan buy-in.
Perfect
you
example.
Have to have everything for it to work.
A perfect example. Scott Frost was like gangbusters in Central Florida, was killing it, had a ton of success, went to his alma mater, one of the places you think he'd be the most successful because he was a successful football player there,
right?
Only for it to just completely fall apart. And so, like you said, success doesn't always beget success at your next destination.
Yeah, there is and this is a message to everybody out there. If you are looking at Penn State or you're looking at Florida or possibly Auburn or possibly LSU, and you are gangbusters looking at Kenny Dillingham, Kirk Cignetti, and Lane Kiffin at non-historical powers, why are you winning there and they're firing their coach? Is it just a coach problem or is it an organization problem? If it's an organization problem, then you were going to have to rip it down to the studs and build it up your way, or you could just stay where you're having massive success.
Yeah, that's it. And there are guys that are having big success, not necessarily at the perennial powerhouses, that names are going to be coming up. Kenny Dillingham's going to be a name. Matt Campbell's going to be a name.
Yeah.
Eli Drinkowitz. Like some of these players that aren't traditional powerhouses that are just winning football coaches. Like if I'm Eli Drinkowitz, like I would think long and hard about taking that Penn State job because you've got such a good gig at Missouri. You're winning 9-10 games every year in the premier conference in college football, and they love you there. Yeah. Now, if you're like you got to start winning some big games. You saw how that went for James Franklin at Penn State. Yeah. Like he gets them there, can't get over the hump. But if you beat Alabama or Vanderbilt this coming weekend, or you can upset Texas A&M, like, brother, they're going to build a statue of you there. And so I understand the competitive side of it, that you want to go win at big places.
Yeah.
But if I'm Drinkowitz, I'm going to think long and hard about leaving Missouri because of like what you said. The success is there. Why go try and start all the way over in a place that needs a lot of juice to get going again?
You have got to reframe successful programs to the last 5 years worth of success here. Is Ole Miss a Lane Kiffin creation? Maybe. But you know what Florida is they either hire the wrong coach every single time or they are in the way and being a detractor to a coach's success. It's one or the other. And Florida is a Steve Spurrier 10-year run and an Urban Meyer 5-year run away from being South Carolina.
I mean, 100%.
There is the only reason why anybody would choose Florida right now over Ole Miss or Missouri or whoever their coach they're going to try to woo away is that they are in an area of the world with lots of athletes in an era in which locale does not matter as much now as it has ever mattered. It's just you are transferring after 1 year if you're not playing anyways. You will go from Florida to Arizona to Connecticut if you want to.
And like there is a world where one of your biggest in-state rivals is going to be looking for a coach too. If Mike Norvell, if they can put the money together to fire him, you're going to have 2 schools with deep NIL funds and deep NIL pockets available right there in Florida Do you want to go to the SEC and that's the Premier League and coaches are competitive and you want to go be competitive in the most competitive league? Or do you take over a Florida State with a history of success? But Drew, they've had the same issue since Bobby Bowden stepped down. Like they've had Willie Taggarts and they've had Mike Norvells. They haven't been able to
they had one good run of Jimbo. You know, they had
one
a couple
good run of Jimbo. They won a title with Jimbo. And
yeah.
That's what ultimately got him to A&M. But like outside of Jimbo, like they hadn't done much since Bobby Bowden. But to me, that job feels a bit more stable because you have had, I think, some more success in Florida in recent years outside of Urban Meyer. But like, there's no guarantee that like Lane Kiffin, let's say, if Florida is his ultimate destination, there's no shoe in that it's the Gators. Like I could see Lane going to Tallahassee.
Yeah, maybe. You know, he had an opportunity to go to Miami. He didn't take it. You know, so. And from an Ole Miss perspective, and I talked on this show about how dangerous it is to keep stacking up these buyouts, and I still sort of subscribe to that. However, if I am Ole Miss right now and you look at the landscape, there's no amount of money I don't pay Lane to keep him right now. Because the worst thing that could happen, if Lane goes to Auburn 2 years ago, the job market's pretty good. You can kind of go get what you want. There wasn't any big – that was the biggest job. If Lane Kiffin goes to Florida and then Ole Miss is throwing their hat in the ring with Penn State and Florida State and Auburn and all, you've got to avoid being on the biggest coaching carousel ever. You pay Lane Kiffin $15 million a year if you want to extend it out. I think you're happy with, you know, living with Lane through the lifetime of Lane, through ups and downs, knowing that, you know, there's probably a time there. It's more likely that Lane leaves you than you have to fire Lane.
Agreed.
So,
and, you know, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to go then because of what we just talked about. Some of these coaches, like Kenny Dillingham, might be completely content at Arizona State, building a program there with what he's doing. There's no guarantee that you're going to fly a plane out to Tempe and woo him to come to Oxford, Mississippi. There's no guarantee
got all
that
the
you
leverage.
can go. He's got all the leverage at that point if Lane's gone, because there's no guarantee that a John Sumrall or
the coaches
some of
have
these
all
guys
the
are gonna
leverage
come.
anyways.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. So there's no guarantee you're gonna be able to pull one of those guys. And so, like you said, like if Ole Miss is serious about it, you pay Lane Kiffin whatever it takes, because there's no guarantee. Ole Miss right now is a great job because of what Lane Kiffin is doing. There's no guarantee that the next guy's going to be able to step in and have that same kind of matched success. And so in this situation, you pay Lane Kiffin whatever he wants.
Yeah. And listen, there's no situation. There's no one feeling worse about their life right now than Arkansas, because every job that opens up just moves Arkansas further down the pecking order. And they're very likely they should have fired. They're going to regret this for the rest of their life. They should have fired him after last season, so you didn't have to throw your hat in the ring with all these teams. Because as far as many jobs are opening up, Arkansas just keeps moving further down the list when it comes to pecking order. And another thing, toting out saying that, oh, we'll have one of the deepest NIL funds in the country, does not, in my opinion, like we've talked about on the show, doesn't help their cause at all, because it's like, okay, now you're willing to do that now, but you wouldn't do it for the last guy. Well, what's going to happen when you and I don't see head to see eye to eye? Are you going to start pulling my NIL funding? Thought process that I read on X.com today, and I want to float this out to you. So you look at the most successful coaches who have the highest Q rating, the best coaches in college football right now. None of them, in the vast majority, were sitting head coaches somewhere when they got hired. Okay, so we're talking about going and poaching Lane Kiffin, or Ole Miss's head coach, or Missouri's head coach, or Arizona State's head coach, or Notre Dame's head coach. You look at Kirby Smart. I don't think anybody would argue saying he's the best coach in football. He was a defensive coordinator at Alabama. Who's the next best coach in your opinion? You don't have to be correct. Just
Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning in Oregon is
offensive coordinator at Georgia, or defensive coordinator at Georgia. Okay. All these guys, with the exception of if you want to put Kalen DeBoer on there, he was a head coach. Dabo Swinney was a wide receivers coach. The best coaches in football right now, and may just be a fad and a trend that goes away, the best coaches in football right now were not poached from sitting head coaching jobs. Jimbo Fisher, crash and burn. Brian Kelly, crash and burn.
I think there's a few. There's a small minority. Kurt Signetti, he went from a head coach as successful at James.
Yeah,
JMU,
but that was
he stepped up a league. He stepped up a league.
Yeah.
By and large, there's only a few colleges right now, I think, that could poach a sitting head coach. Your Notre Dames, your Alabamas, your Texases, those type. Well, we saw it in the NBA in this coaching cycle, right? Like, we saw guys like Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown, and Mike Brown got a job late with the Knicks, but, like, we saw these sitting head coaches that sat for a long time, and these new, young, innovative guys have coming in, and college football has been doing that for a while. They've been getting these guys that are in these, like the Memphis coaching tree. You look around at like Ryan Selverfield, Norvell, all these guys are coaching.
They all just come
Nick
from Arizona
Saban.
State at one point. Yeah.
I mean, the Nick Saban head coach, like all these coaching trees are producing more and more quality coordinators getting these jobs. And I don't think that's going to slow down anytime soon. Yes, some of these smaller schools, again, if the John Sumralls, maybe Rhett Lashley, just because I'm not saying that SMU is a smaller school, but there's better opportunity out there. But we could be talking about more coordinators getting some opportunities this offseason.
I'm mainly talking about, like, obviously John Sumrall went from, Troy to Tulane. That's not kind of the category I'm in. I'm talking about Jimbo Fisher to A&M. It didn't work out. Brian Kelly's not working out in LSU. The high-profile guys, typically when they're ready to leave their job, it's not going well, and more times than not, they're past their prime. I don't think that Lane or Drinkwitz or Dillingham are past their prime by any means, but there's not a big track record of success with going and wooing a sitting Power 5 coach to your Power 5 job.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
So just don't even try to hire Lane. That's what I'm trying to do.
The long and short of it, don't even go out to Lane Kiffin. Drew, we would be remiss if we didn't at least mention some Grizzly injury news. I do.
We're not even going to talk about the big win?
No, we're not going to talk about
Friday night's big win over the Miami Heat.
We finally put up a fight. We scored a bunch of points and we won a basketball game. Imagine what happens. But
Khalil Well went for like 25 and 20.
Somebody on this network tried to tell y'all he was going to be awesome.
Yeah,
and I'll be darned if he isn't.
You went to the customer service counter, though, and exchanged your Khalil Ware for Zach Edey.
No,
you did.
I didn't. I picked
you
Zach Edey because he's on my basketball team. I kept my receipts because Khalil Ware is awesome. Like I told y'all he was going to be. But anyway,
would you
Scottie
trade
Jr.
Zach
Edey
1-for-1 for Khalil Ware?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just so we're
clear. In a heartbeat, brother. Have you watched
Well, you could have had him at number 9.
I was begging for it.
That's not what we're
night.
talking about right now.
But it's not. We're talking about Scottie Pippen Jr. No news about Ty Jerome. I'm choosing that no news is good news. And again, we're recording this Sunday night. It is 9:23. We didn't get any PR notifications about Ja. And I'm choosing, come on, choose some positivity, Dad.
Yeah, but you keep saying you're choosing positivity, and that is a conscious choice you're making despite a historical database of injury news that you're going to have to willfully ignore by choosing positivity.
I read this earlier today. Let me see. Grizz fan art, big fan of the shows. Appreciate what he's doing. And when I read this earlier, sorry, Mama, plug your ears. I was just like, damn. Because, like, what's wild, shout out Grizz fan art, is this goes back even to the grit and grind era. From Mike's breaking his face, TA getting hurt on the last game of the season, Rudy hurting his shoulder, starting Jordan Farmar and Birdman in the playoffs, CP, the name, he who shall not be named. Like, the list goes on and on. This isn't a new development for the Grizzlies. It's just.
How about like John Morant or Jaren Jackson Jr. or Brandon Clark?
So freaking unlucky, but. Ty Jerome with the right calf injury. We're still awaiting reports. He was able to put weight on it, so I'm not necessarily concerned that there's like an Achilles situation.
Injury. It's going to linger.
But it's going to be a calf strain, and calf strains are finicky because what calf strains can turn into is an Achilles tear. Ask Tyrese Halliburton about that. So you got to monitor this really, really well. But the other news we got, Scottie Pippen Jr. is going to be out and reevaluated in 12 weeks. He had a sesamoid bone removed, which under your big toe, there's these two little bitty tiny bones, and their whole purpose is they guide the tendon that goes out and it curls your big toe down. Had one of those taken out in surgery. They're getting it pinned to where it won't slip and slide. That's a major deal. But that's the weirdest thing in the world. Like, who gets hurt like that? Like, what other sports franchises?
Well, what's the injury? Did it break or what?
It's either like a fracture or it could be a dislocation. Like there's a few, like it could be an avulsion where it pulled away. I don't know, but why are we doing this? Like, who else has these type injuries? Nobody else is hurting their sesamoid bones. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Listen, we talked on, I guess that was Friday's episode, maybe it was Thursday's episode, about is this do or die, a prove-it season for Zach Kleiman. Mm-hmm. You've got to make trades in this season, more than any season ever. Your front court depth is bad and injured right now. Well, I'm not going to say bad. It is shallow and injured right now. And now you're going into game number 1 with your 3 guards. You're 3 deep of point guards, all hurt. Ja's hurt. Ty Jerome's hurt. Scottie Pippen Jr. He's out reevaluating 12 weeks. Buddy, if we see you in the playoffs, awesome. Like he ain't playing.
No, he ain't playing. So I feel fairly confident.
3 months is dang near February.
Mm-hmm. I feel confident Ja's going to play opening night, but it looks like your rotation at the 1 is going to be Ja, Javon Small, and Cam Spencer. And Javon Small's been hooping in preseason, but it's not what I expected going into the regular season. Let's put it that way.
Again, these are guys. Ty Jerome, notwithstanding, he's important. When it comes to guard rotation, John Morant's the guy that needs to play. We can, if we are talking about the health of Scottie Pippen Jr., then it has gone poorly again, and we have massive, important, consequential conversations to be having around the All-Star break. If we're talking about missing Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yep. But we got plenty of the week. We're going to talk more Grizzlies tomorrow as we're getting ready for the season openers this week.
It's Memphis. It's the seasoning open.
That's right, the seasoning opener. But as we wrap up the show before we get out of here, just to remind you, over on FanDuel.com, you can place wagers on what is looking like a good Monday Night Football matchup between the Lions and the Buccaneers. Lions are a 5.5-point home favorite over the Bucs. Right now on FanDuel, you can get Jared Goff at 265.5 for the over-under on passing yards. Baker Mayfield at 242.5. I'm feeling the over for Baker there because Baker can get hot and put 400 on you in a heartbeat. I hope this
game is 45-43.
I hope this is going to be a classic.
I don't think I have more of a love for any quarterback that didn't graduate from Ole Miss
than Baker freaking Mayfield.
Mayfield.
I love Baker
Mayfield.
And I love Dan Campbell and what he's doing with the Lions and the toughness that they play with.
This is just a matchup. I hope that Peyton and Eli is doing this game because I'll be zoned in. I don't know if this is a Manning cast game or not. I hope it is.
It should
be.
But
this is 2 teams that I'm just absolutely locked in on. I love Dan Campbell. I love Jared Goff. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I love that team, what they're made of. And I just adore Baker Mayfield, man.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got some great running back play in Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, 2-headed monster in Detroit.
No Bucky Irving, unfortunately.
No Bucky Irving, but Rashad Chad has been really good recently.
You mean Rashad White?
Yeah. It is 9:30
Rashad White, but it's spelled
Rashad
Rashad.
White. It's Rashad, Rashad
and you're thinking
White.
of Roshan Johnson, I guess.
What I said Rashad White, I thought.
No,
anyway,
you said
I said Rashad White. Anyway, you get 15.5 rushing yards for Rashad White. Some good running back play, some good defense in this game. Y'all tune in tonight over on ESPN, but go place your wagers, lock them in on FanDuel before kickoff. But that's going to do it for your Monday edition of the $2 Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckets, with my guy, Drew Gann. We are here Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time on Bluff City Media's YouTube channel. Drew, thanks for hanging out with me tonight this Sunday night. We'll be back live tomorrow, actually live. So in the comments, we'll be pulling up any new first-time commenters. We'll be interacting with y'all. But in the meantime, go be a friend of somebody who needs a friend. And Drew, tell them why there are no refunds.
That's right, because with the $2, you always get what you pay for. Have a good Monday, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. We'll see you back here next time.